Morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly meeting. My name is Zohar Morales, and I went through this program from July of 21 to December of 21. And my wife and I are still in the business. I transitioned out of the Marine Corps into being a full-time realtor, and very grateful for the lifestyle that is provided. So we have these weekly meetings. Sometimes I talk about a specific topic. Sometimes it's Q&A. Today we're going to do a kind of live exercise of putting your vision or figuring out what your vision is and then breaking it down into kind of actionable items that you can do on a daily basis. So for today, we're going to take one volunteer from the audience, and so you have to be willing to share what your vision is for your 5, 10, 20-year plan. And then we're going to break that down into intermediate goals that you're shooting for. Any volunteers? Mr. DeSimone, going to be our lucky volunteer for this little exercise we're about to do with laying out your vision and then kind of breaking down how to get there.
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right?
Yep, loud and clear.
I'm just getting feedback.
Okay, like you can hear yourself?
Yeah, and then you guys are going, okay. So we're just
Let me know if it becomes just too distracting, and we can figure something out.
yeah.
Is he doing all right?
Yeah, we can work through it.
Okay. All right. So where this idea stems from. So I was having a little conversation with my brother-in-law the other day, and so he's kind of he's a handyman. He's not licensed in anything, but he's really good at doing framing, plumbing, electrical, all that stuff. So he has the experience to be a general contractor, to get licensed as a general contractor, but he just hasn't done it. And I've had conversations with him and some the other folks that have been helping out with our renovation project on our house, and some of them, they're just happy with just living day to day, just show up for work, be an employee, clock out, go home, not think about work, and then do it over and over again each day of the week, and just live life that way. And I've tried to explain to people like that, you're not going to have the physical ability that you have right now will not be there 20 years from now, 30 years from now. But if you live your life like that, just 1 week at a time, without looking towards the 5, 10, 20-year vision, then you're going to find yourself 60 years old, still having to work a full-time job just to stay afloat. When if you put a little foresight into it, put a little planning, then you can reach the point where well before that 60 years of age point, you can step away from working not a full-time job and enjoy life. I don't know about you guys, but I enjoy traveling. I enjoy doing things that are fun, that are not necessarily work related. And so it kind of requires a shift in mindset of realizing like we're not put here on this earth just to be working around the clock. A lot of people don't realize it, but if you kind of break it down to like what your lifestyle looks like compared to being a slave, like a lot of people are slaves without realizing it. You show up, you do your work, the person that's your boss gives you what you need to stay alive, enough money to pay for food. Sure, you can choose your own food and you can choose which store you buy that food from, and you can choose where you live. You're not living in some kind of barn or something ridiculous like that. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, it's kind of like a glamorized version of slavery. But if you break out of that if you're able to see that that's kind of the system that a lot of people are living in, you can find freedom in um, working your own hours, being your own boss. So enough of my rambling. That's just kind of where it stemmed from, having the conversation with my brother-in-law and with that other friend. My brother-in-law, he's kind of opened up his mind a little bit to seeing like, yes, it would be beneficial if I became a licensed contractor and I'd be able to make more money, a little more responsibility, but I can make a lot more money. I can not have to work from job to job as a handyman. I can build a team of builders and then continue to grow. And same thing applies to being a realtor. So you don't have to be um, out here in Hawaii. A lot of realtors have a part-time job or in some cases a full-time job, and then they're a realtor on the side, or they're a realtor most of the time and then they have a side job to keep things afloat. And that's at first that's kind of like a necessary way to live, just because the cost of living out here probably similar in other areas of the country too. But it doesn't have to be that way, and you don't have to be 16-hour a day, 7 days a week realtor. You can set up your lifestyle to where maybe in the first year it's like that because you're getting after it, building your business. But then after a couple of years, after you've established your systems and everything, you're kind of able to control how many hours you work a day and travel when you want to, all that stuff. But can't get there without having laying out your vision. So just to show you guys one example of how to do it, I'm gonna break out a whiteboard here. Can everybody see the whiteboard? All right. And so the general idea is that, like, this is an example I used to explain to everybody. So right now, let's use this pen. So right now, here's um, the 0, 0 axis, X and Y. And so on this axis is time. So like right now it's 2024. Sorry, my handwriting is terrible. Um, and then so on to infinity till you depart this earth. So this is time. And then the other axis is um, income, or like position in life. However you want to, everybody sees things differently. And so whether it's like number of properties you own, hours you work per day, so maybe it's like an inverse graph, but for the just keeping it simple, we're gonna do income. And so uh, if you want to be at over here, so well above the 0 axis, so many years from now, let's say it's just slap a random number on it. So by 2035, you want to be up there, whatever that number is for your annual income. And that could be, it doesn't have to be just from real estate. It can be just your collective. It's like you have properties that are renting out and you have rental income from that. You have maybe you work a part-time job that you enjoy doing. It's like you clean horse stables or something because you like enjoy working with horses, and you also get paid to do it. So it's fun to you. And then whatever other things you have going. And so you trying to get up here. And so right now you're down here at 0, 0. In order to get there, it's most likely not going to be just you're moving along, moving along, moving along, and then boom, 11 years later, you just skyrocket up to that point. Do you guys think that would make sense to just all of a sudden 11 years from now just catapult up there? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So the logical flow is something similar to this. So in order to get from here to there, there has to be like a logical flow. There's you can break it down into checkpoints, and that's kind of what we're about to do with Al. So let's say that's the um, 8 years. Here's 5 years from now. Here's 2 years from now. Here's 1 year, and then you can zoom in and break this 1 year thing down into 6 months, and you can break it all the way down to what am I doing today to take steps towards this future. All right. So that being said, Al, what is your Yeah, have you done like a 5 or 10 year or anything like that?
Yeah, we haven't. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I got that. I had two tabs open, so I was hearing both sides there. So for everyone that doesn't know me, Al DeSimone, I'm out here in Montrose, Colorado. So just doing the last 6 months of my military contract with you guys. I'm super blessed and fortunate to be here. And what you said earlier is kind of like this being a slave. Not going to go too much in detail, but the you know realization of being held to not as a slave, but the government, honestly, somewhat owns you. And the COVID times really brought that to light for both myself and my wife. So, a couple of years ago, we started the process of, hey, what can we do to pivot, and pivot out of the military? And we've always had ideas and ventures that we want to accomplish. And um, what you said about time, we only have so much time. And we looked out and, hey, are we going to do another 10 years in the military, um, and then retire and then start our process of our business ventures? And it just didn't make sense. So I really like that, how your graph is, we're setting up steps to be 35 and financially, um, you know, financially free and whatnot. So um, basically, this next year, kind of our year plan, my wife and I, we have 6 months with you guys at Quilt for our internship. So we're blessed in that sense. So the next 6 months is kind of getting our feet wet with the real estate game and seeing if it's something that we really want to pursue, which I think it is. I've always had an interest in real estate, so this is a great avenue for that. And then hopefully within the next 5 years, be able to be established out here in Colorado as a go-to person for real estate transactions. We have our house that we bought out here, and then 5 years we're hoping to be in something else. So we'll use the house that we have now as an investment property for rentals and whatnot. And then we're diving into a little bit different venture as far as with the screen printing company. So we're just off the ground now with a screen printing company that will do tees, hats, and for our teams that we were involved in the military. So that's just getting off the ground too. So we have a lot in the pipe. So basically, 5 years we're hoping to be in out of our garage and into a facility, and then 10 years down the road, hopefully we're established real estate agents, and then hopefully we have our company established at that point. We had a realization. We have three little kids, three little babies now. So we've made a conscious decision as a couple that we're going to grind for the next 15 years because the kids are growing up. And then our goal in 15 years is to be financially established where we can have the ability to do what we want. Whether that be go to Europe for a couple months or, do our Pacific tour as far as vacation as a couple. So it's kind of a broad strokes of what we're looking at to do as a family. We've been working together as like sitting down and really trying to nail down steps in order to make that possible, because nothing happens unless you write it down. So this is a great exercise. I don't know if I'm speaking too much or whatnot, but would love feedback.
That was good. Thank you. So just some things that came to mind as you're talking about that. So you mentioned real estate, you mentioned properties that you have that you're going to turn into rental income and then see where it goes from there. And then also the real estate t-shirts, and so realtors or realtor life, realtor income, real estate itself as like rental income, and then t-shirt company or screen printing company. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's about right. So that's kind of our where we're heading towards. It's kind of what our vision is. Use real estate, whether as kind of what you're talking about. Let's see where it goes. If if that's our main income, great. If not, that's fine too. So we're really diving into different realms of possible income, and then really being able to honestly be our own boss, because like all of us with military service, the past 10 years has been on the military's time, which has been great. It's been an awesome experience, but with what we're envisioning, that's not a possibility anymore. So we're just shifting focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, wanting to get to that point where you can travel and do your own thing. There's so many distractions in the world right now, and just the way that technology is designed and everything, that I'm sure most of the people in this Zoom meeting right now probably have a similar vision for the future. But the question is, like, what are you doing to plan that out, to like take daily steps towards that? Because you'll hop off the Zoom meeting, you'll get a text message from your friend, you'll respond to them, oh, let me check Facebook. You spend 30 minutes scrolling through Facebook, you'll find some other thing to be distracted with, and you can see how that can quickly ravel down a rabbit hole, and you'll forget about the thought you had of planning out your future. But if you have the discipline to sit down with your spouse or by yourself, then and write this thing out, it's a very powerful thing to do, because it'll help you keep yourself accountable, and then if your significant other, you can also keep each other accountable and working towards that vision. Um, but yeah, so Al mentioned.
Now, can I say something about
Yeah,
that as well? Which I'm very fortunate in the sense that these past Zoom meetings, that a part of our requirements to watch, you guys had Tasha on there talking about her Google Calendar and whatnot, and that's something that we're starting to implement in our daily schedule, because it starts with the daily, what am I doing daily, which has helped significantly, like us as a family planning out our day, and it starts with that daily, weekly, monthly, and then goes into yearly. And it's been super helpful. With that being, with being in the military, it's like, hey, you get your timeline, where it's pretty freeing to know that, hey, we can have that ability to set our own time. And it's been very helpful. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Thank you. All right, so basically we have like a 15-year plan, because that's what Al said. 15 years from now, he wants to be able to kind of have the freedom to travel, not work full time, not have to be in the same place, to give his time and attention to managing his business and whatnot. So by 2039, that's where he wants to be. And so he can, and I'm sure he has dove into the details of what that looks like. So travel, what's that going to look like for a family of 5?
Yep.
So family of 5, okay, you can do some quick research on Google. How much does a flight to Europe cost? Okay, multiply that by 5. Let's say it's $1,000 per person, $5,000. They're going to do a month or 2 trip over there. How much does it cost to rent out a place for 3 months? Or, what I mean? They can decide if they want to do big place, small place, if it's just going to be a place to sleep and eat, and then get out and travel and enjoy Europe more. Okay, that's going to cost $2,000 a month. Okay, so 5,000 for the flight to get there, 5,000 for the flight back. That's 10,000. 3 months at $2,000 each, $6,000. So $16,000 just for that trip, and then living expenses. And you can kind of see, you can get into the details to make it a very accurate, tangible plan. So it's like, after you accounted for all the expenses from what you're going to eat on a daily basis, having fun over there, all that stuff, that endeavor itself is going to cost $75,000 for the year. And so you can account for that. Okay, so we need to have at least $75,000, or we can break that down into a monthly income from our real estate business as realtors, getting referrals because we're going to be out of the country, from our rental income for the properties that we own at that 15-year mark, and from our screen printing company, products that are being sold from that. And so you can break down that annual expense for that year of traveling into a monthly budget, and then how much money you need to be making at that time on a monthly basis. And so let's say altogether it's 150,000 for living that lifestyle, covering the expenses for travel, etc. Um, so 150 divided by 12, a little over 11,000. And so 11,000 of income just to fund that lifestyle of travel and not having to work full time. So then, and then you can dive into the details of the other things of your companies and whatnot, your real estate business. But so that's the long term. So we'll just pretend we wrote down the details of all that right there, just for sake of time. And then right now, so you said you have 6 months in the SkillBridge program, and then I would say it's probably going to be another 6 months after that. So like figuring out if this is the right path for you. And if you're doing real estate investing, like it's really a no-brainer to get licensed and stay licensed, because the piece of the bottom line of each real estate deal, if you just do one deal a year, that if you just do like your personal deal, that's the only thing you use your license for, then it makes sense for 5 years. Like if you do one deal every like 5 years, really, it makes sense to be licensed. And so let's just say a year from now, you want to be, in order to, you can see the trajectory we're trying to get there, in order to be at this point and generating, let's say by this far point, you have to be pulling in 500,000 a year, which right now sounds like a crazy amount of money because of what the amount of money you know right now in the military. But if you were to break it down over this 15-year path, it's really only an increase of like maybe 50,000 a year in your income. And then if you break that down even further, it's really not that big of a deal. So by this point, let's say you want to be making 120,000, so 10,000 a month between your three endeavors that you have going right now. Do you know roughly how much you make from your screen printing business, like each of those three different things?
Yeah, so basically what we're at now, just to kind of backtrack, is what we're hoping to do is our plan would be within the next 1 to 5 years would be like, hey, let's make sure we make what we're making now in the military, with incentive pay, all that sort of stuff, because we're living comfortably on one income now. So that's kind of where we're at. As long as we can make that and more within the next 1 to 3 to 5 years, we're okay with that as we build our real estate business and our screen printing business. But right now it's just off the ground, so I'm going to say we're not making anything right now on the screen printing stuff. It's just we just launched last week, but with looking at profit margins and all that sort of thing with this type of business, it's kind of like real estate where you can scale it as big as you really want. So for right now, 1 to 5 years, we're looking at hopefully with real estate, with our company, and then if I have to pick up a part-time paramedic gig or whatever, to still say make that 120,000. So that's kind of where we're at now.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Go down. So you can kind of see how you can, we've broken down the 15-year down to like 5-ish year to, and that's a good point that Al brought up, like where you're at right now. Like, yes, that income is about to change once you exit the military, but you at least know this is how much I get paid. This is how much I get for my base pay, my allowance for housing, whatever other pays you get. This is also, I also get medical coverage, which that's another story for another time, my opinion on military medical, but you do have you still do have that backstop of if you broke your leg, you can go to the hospital and they'll cover it. And so you will need to account for that. And so you can calculate right now, let's say the number is like 90,000 right now. If after you add in all your pays, all your medical coverage, insurance, all that stuff, let's say right now that's equivalent. Your lifestyle that you're living right now is equivalent to making 90,000 a year. You may not see those numbers. This may seem like a large number that you're not working with right now, but accounting for all those items, that's about what it would be work out to. And then so you can have that target to aim for. And that's kind of this target that I used when I was transitioning out. I was like, right, we have a house here in Hawaii, so we need to cover the mortgage. We need to more or less maintain the same. We weren't living lavishly and like eating out every night at 5-star restaurants or anything like that. We hardly ever really ate out to begin with, just because of the timing of when we got out. But we wanted to, so that was our target, maintain the same quality of life for that first year, just to stay afloat out here in Hawaii. Just kind of like imagining like we're just trying to stay on top of the water and not drown, and have to leave the island because it's too expensive. And so we made that our initial goal, and it was very realistic, very tangible. Like you'd see what that looked like. And then after that first year, we saw that goal was a little bit too low, and so we've continued to increase that number and continued on our trajectory towards our 5, 10, 20-year plans. And it really is that simple. Hopefully we're almost up on time, but hopefully this wasn't just a bunch of rambling between me and Al that you guys are listening to. Hopefully you can see how you can do this for yourself and ask yourself these questions. Like, where do I want to be 20 years from now? And if that's too far out, if that's just too hard for you to understand, just like ask yourself, what lifestyle do you want to be living, and start from there. Okay, I want to have paid off car. I want to have $5,000 a month to travel or to just enjoy life. Break it down like that, like whatever method is most helpful for you. If you're kind of stumped, go on ChatGPT. How do I plan out my 5-year plan? And it'll generate some ideas for you. There's so many options. You got to be resourceful and take action in working out this plan. Otherwise, you'll find yourself, however many years you did in the military, like you'll find yourself going through that many years on the outside and look back and be like, man, I wish I would have done a little more planning when the Zoom meeting happened and somebody told me to do this. That's all I got for today. Any questions on anything we talked about? My personal goal setting or getting into real estate in general?
I have a question as far as just like with all of us making that transition out of the military, and obviously, in the military, we get medical insurance, we get TRICARE, and then from your experience shifting out of the military, especially with families that need health insurance, obviously we're living on